Howdy, Immortalium here, and today I'm deciding to tackle something that's quite topical at the moment, and that is digital manga versus physical manga. Now, why am I tackling this all of a sudden? Well, the primary reason that I'm tackling it at the moment is that in about 2 weeks' time I'm going to begin subscribing to Viz's Weekly Shonen Jump in order to get the newest Hunter x Hunter chapters. At the same time, another reason that I decided to take on this topic is because Yen Press recently have begun an even greater push in order to release their stuff digitally. I remember seeing an ad on Anime News Network. They were advertising the fact that you could buy their stuff digitally, advertising the fact that, you know, you get color pages with it, etc, etc, what stuff you could watch it on, like the iPad, Android, etc, etc. So I decided to tackle this topic, you know, just discuss my opinions of it. So, first of all, what is my own personal opinion of digital manga compared to physical manga? And that is, I prefer physical manga. Now, I'm guessing that isn't a surprise to most of you. I just prefer having the feel of the book in my hand, and the primary reason why I prefer physical manga to digital manga is because of the fact that I know I will always have it. Now, what I mean by that is, okay, let's take this for an example. So let's say, you know, Tokyopop had set up a digital manga service, and you know, a ton of people, like, you know, most manga fans, say, bought all their manga off of their digital service. Now, cut forward to when they shut down. You know, they don't have the money or the manpower or the employees, etc, etc, in order to carry out the maintenance, etc, etc, of their digital service. And so, all of a sudden, you have, all the Tokyopop manga that you bought is suddenly unavailable to you, which, you know, is a complete disaster. Now, that's not to say that Viz Media or Yen Press are going to go out of business anytime soon, but it is a great concern to me. You know, like, you mean, Tokyopop for a long time didn't look like they were going to go out of business, and there they went. So that is my primary reason for not liking, you know, digital manga, just that risk and fear that it might suddenly become unavailable to me. Now, at the same time, you know, it might be asking me, you know, hey, Immortalium, what's the deal with you subscribing to Weekly Shonen Jump then? You know, isn't that digital? Isn't that possible that you're going to lose that someday? Well, yes, it is, but there is a clear difference, and that is it's kind of more disposable. You see, the price of a subscription to Weekly Shonen Jump is actually quite low. I think it's about €2.50 a month, which, considering the amount of content you get, is great. Now, how much of that content I'll actually read, I don't know. I'll definitely be reading Hunter x Hunter. Not sure if I'll be reading anything else, because I'm not up to date with anything else, but it is quite cheap. And I do intend in the future, whenever, you know, Viz Media decide to release Hunter x Hunter Volume 33, to purchase that and not have to read it anymore on, you know, their digital service. So that is my justification for buying printed manga in general, and yet also then subscribing to Weekly Shonen Jump. And I would have subscribed to Yen Plus as well, if it wasn't for the fact that they were American and Canadian only, and the fact that they're now stopped. So, you know, I consider those kind of magazines, the manga magazines, to be more disposable, and therefore, you know, to be alright if, you know, the company that released them went out of business and it made it unavailable to us at some point. However, the reason that I believe that it is no longer feasible to ignore digital manga is because there are lots of manga that is getting exclusively distributed on, you know, digital services, and even, you know, manga, a lot of manga gets released first on digital services and then comes out much later printed-wise. So, let's take a couple of examples. So, something that I read recently was that Shotaro Ishinomori, not sure how many of you would know him. You know, he's famous for, I think his most famous work is Cyborg 009. He's made lots of other stuff as well. But I think I read somewhere that a lot of his work is getting translated into English for, I think it's called Comixology. Now that's a digital service. It's getting translated for that, but there's not going to be any print runs. There's going to be no physical release, as of yet at least, of his manga. Now, go to another area. Doraman. Doraman, I believe the manga has been completely translated, completely released on... I only read that it's on Amazon Kindle. I haven't read that it's anywhere else. But it is there, and there's been no physical run of it. Now, as I pointed out in my Doraman video, I'm hoping that maybe the Doraman anime release might actually maybe get some of the volumes of the, of the English edition printed. So I might get 1 or 2 volumes of it, just to say that I own Doraman. But, if you're, in all likelihood, unless Doraman becomes a huge whopping success, there's probably not going to be a complete series run of Doraman. I think there's like over 40 volumes of it or something. So, that's kind of sad. The other thing I remember reading somewhere was that Tezuka Productions, they said that it's their intention to translate and actually colour in all of Tezuka's works. So, like all 750 volumes of Tezuka, at some point, I can't remember when I read it, I think this might have been last year, I'm not sure if it's progressed since then, but they said that they intend to translate into English all 750 volumes and colour in every single page and release it. And now what service it's going to, how they're going to distribute it, etc, etc, I'm not sure, but they did say that it is their intention to do it digitally only. So, that's quite disappointing. And actually that also reminds me, I just better also point out, even if something isn't, exclusive to digital, it might still get like released way before. Like, for example, let's take Viz Media. So Viz Media, their Blue Exorcist, there's Nisekoi, etc, etc, is getting released way before the printed version. I mean, I think I remember volume 10 of Blue Exorcist. I think the digital version of it came out like, was it like half a year before the actual printed version? Which is insane. And until recently I thought, the novel from Yen Press was going to be a digital exclusive. Until they announced their Yen On, it seemed that I was never going to get an actual printed release, so... that is kind of annoying. So, that's my opinion on digital manga. And, printed manga, as you can guess, I prefer my printed manga, but looking at how the trends are going, I do have a concern that at some point I will be forced to move into digital manga. But I do still have those concerns, that I'm sure a lot of people have. I mean, like, if Tokyopop had their own digital service, people would not have any of the volumes they would have now. And I'm sure that a lot of you guys and girls will agree with me that you guys prefer, and girls, prefer printed manga to digital manga. But, that's not to say that, they've been unsuccessful. If, Viz Media and Yen Press and all those companies are pushing digital manga, then clearly they must be getting a lot of monetary gain. Something I'm assuming has maybe something to do with the fact that since they're selling them directly, they're making a far higher, profit per sale than they do with printed manga. And, of course, it has been proven in the past that people aren't necessarily looking for, long-term ownership of manga or, like high-quality versions of manga. Those 3-in-1 Viz editions are selling like mad, like selling hotcakes. And, the used manga stores, like all over the world are like full of, manga that people have only read once and then sold on. So I think that, digital manga is going to get bigger and bigger. I think it's going to become, eventually it's probably going to become, the primary way of many people to read manga. But I do hope that it never gets to that point, because I do prefer my actual printed manga, and to own it, and to know that I will always have it, forbidding any accident, like a fire or something. So, that's my discussion of digital versus physical manga. I hope you enjoyed. I would love to hear your opinions on it, if you've bought any digital manga, what your opinions are on the trend of digital manga. What do you think? Do you think digital manga will become, the primary way to read manga, or do you think it will just remain a niche forever? So thanks for watching. Don't forget to comment, rate, subscribe, and bye-bye.